What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here, and today we're gonna find out, was Gannon Buhr right in this video, or is there a little more nuance to it? Because we are here to help you improve your game and try to save as many strokes as possible out on the course. But before we dive in, we're gonna ask the most important question of the day. How you doing today, Ben? Are you having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
All right, have a seat with me. We saw a video, I want to say it was several weeks ago, but this video gets released at the end of June, and therefore today we're actually, on the day this releases, we're going to be on the Disc Golf Network, and I believe they're streaming it for free on YouTube this afternoon if you're watching this day up. If not, you can always, like if you didn't watch this on, I think it's like June 23rd or something, then you can go back and watch on the Pro Tour. We actually ended up for the Creator Challenge on that channel. Crazy, that's today. But several weeks ago from I think when this is filmed, and probably a little over a month to 2 months ago after this is released, Gannon Buhr put out a video talking about his sort of in the bag and why he thinks that people carry too many discs. And generally, I agree with that sentiment, but the more that I thought about this problem, or the more that I thought about this solution to helping people fix their scores, the more I realized I think it's a little more nuanced or complicated, because I think that you can go through these seasons where having a lot of discs is really honestly helpful, and having options is helpful, and then there's other seasons where you need to simplify down. So I want to talk a little bit about that, but I wanted to do a challenge while we demonstrate this. So I am here at George Ward Disc Golf Park, and I have my full bag, and then I brought 3 discs to challenge to see is less more. So the 3 discs that I brought sort of cover all of our bases. I have it looks like the Conman, well, it is the Conman Shawman stamp, but it's actually on a Gateway Wizard. This came from Foundation's subscription box. You can get a subscription box every month. There's theme discs, and it's really sick. We order, it's not like leftover stock stuff. We order stuff for this every single time. Really cool. And then I have a Buzz that I actually got from Brody. Had him and Kelsey sign it, so super fun. Just a little Z Buzz, nothing too special or particular about it. And then this is a misstamp or a multi-stamp of the trail that was the People's Champ, the People's Winner. I forget what they called it, but I know it's not the, I think People's Champ is what Brody calls himself on debate night. But this is from their summer series or their off-season series, and Hunter ended up winning, and so this is a trail. So I have 3 discs that I think are going to cover a lot of slots. Immediately looking at this, I think that forehands are going to be tough, so it's going to be a lot of backhand turnovers. But I don't know that the layout's particularly going to matter for that. So we're here on the tee of 1, and there should be 1 or 2 baskets on every single hole. And just to make it so that it doesn't feel like I'm trying to be biased one way or the other, for or against the minimal bag, especially because I'm playing with my full bag, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna flip on every hole, and we're gonna say heads is short, tails is long, and we'll just play to that pin position and see how it goes. So flipping, and it's tails. So we're going to the long one, which I do think we'll start out tougher for this. So I'll go with my full bag to start, and we'll kind of alternate. Looking at this, I want to go straight and then have some turnover. So I'm going to start with my ESP Cicada and just see how we're feeling. First throws out of the car. Oh, gonna be tight. I'm almost tempted because I'm only going to have a mid-range, and so yeah, maybe I'll do that. Nah. I was thinking, what if I just throw like a warm-up shot as well? But because I don't think that I can get my Buzz to the long pin position, so I could just throw a mid-range from my full bag. But if we have the full bag, we got to capitalize while we can. So we're going to go ESP Cicada to get things started. Oh, and that is straight OB. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought that we were going to be tight. I thought that we were going to hit it. So we're going to go Buzz to keep warming up. Give this one a chance. Okay, so also straight OB. Got to make a correction here, Crawford. Got to make a correction. We're gonna go with the, I think we go ozone here, because we keep not releasing these well. We keep we're almost like tightening and shortening it. I can feel myself like stopping on my foot. So Just commit, follow through the shot. We're gonna go ozone because this should turn pretty naturally. Not if we release it. Okay, that's our issue. We're like releasing to like here instead of finishing the shot because I don't want to turn these over. George Ward brings out the worst in me. Here we go, trail. There it is. Okay. No way. Okay, that was a lot better. Good adjustment. Probably just going to be a par from both of them, but we'll see. This is an interesting one because I don't necessarily want to go high because then I can sail down the hill, but there's a tree blocking it. So like I kind of have to go with the harder shot here, which is I think just straight at it. So we're gonna grab the trail. We're also, I apologize, I'm trying to keep a vigilant eye on the lens because we're back in soup season down here where I'm like pulling discs out of my bag and I can actively watch as like the condensation gathers to take my disc from being dry to wet. Straight shot. That's in that bucket. Oh, okay. You guys may have thought it, I thought it. I thought for sure I had rung up the short basket on my journey to the long. There's another one, we kinda gotta throw the straight shot. Tree's gonna be in the way. I'm not trying to throw Anheuser at it, just nice and straight, flat shot. Touch the chains. Touch the chains. That's pretty awesome. We take those. We take those. Slippery terrain. There's one. Towel tail. You may say it's not much of a towel tail there, Robbie, because it's not in tail form. But that's because this is my third time trying to film a video this week that it started raining on me while I'm out here filming. So the towel tail during between the shots is coverage for the camera. Okay, so why would you want to have less discs? What would be a perk of that? And I think that decision making while you're on the course is one of the best parts of having minimal amounts of shot options available, because too often I see people step up to a hole and they make the wrong decision because either this disc has been working for me, or there's just like, there's so many factors to why people make the wrong decision, but even great players still make wrong decisions at times, which is where I think that Gannon is trying to sort of minimalize it. But I also want to point out like a common thing that you'll hear pros talk about on the Pro Tour that I don't think is true when it comes to why they're able to minimalize their bag options as opposed to like the local player. All right, let's flip. Heck yeah is short. We're going short. Thinking of these two options, we have one on the front, one on the right, so we're going to the one that is right. I'm gonna be safe, and I think that we're just gonna go buzz. I feel like I have been babying this shot for some reason. It's like 260. It's 281. Yeah, it's 281 a little uphill the whole way. And I like having in my head that I can get a putter there pretty easily. And then I just don't do it. So we're gonna go Jimothy. It's gonna be a little buzz battle. Jimothy versus Brody. A Dallas showdown, you may say. Here we go. Okay, we skipped off of something and then we rolled. Didn't hit that one the best. Let's go buzz. Haha, you get it? Okay. So what I'm doing is that I'm just keeping the elbow super protected and just not throwing the disc at all, like I've been throwing it into the net. So that's tough. Okay, if you go watch a pro in the bag, especially one of the MPO players, one of the discs that I think probably the most underrepresented slot in almost all the players' bags is going to be mid-ranges. And I think that is because there is just really such minimal shot opportunity for a mid-range for pros on tour, because the pros can throw their putters 300 to 330, and often if there's going to be a short technical par 3 on a course, then it's usually going to be a putter shot for them, which makes it super tough because if they're not throwing putter, or if they're not throwing mid-ranges very often, then they just don't need those discs, and it literally would be weighing them down while they're on tour. So most of them will remove that from their bag. But for you on your local course, if you're not throwing your putters 300 to 330, let's say you're throwing your mids 250 to 300, somewhere in that range, suddenly there's probably a lot more shots locally that you're using a mid-range. So I think that's like, no one talks about that in comparison to pro bags, but it's something I see quite often. Like, I'll never forget being at MCO last year, and we're on Gannon Buhr's card, the guy, you know, we're talking about in this video, and he's looking at a hole, and he literally asked the card, who was touring pros, hey, how many times have you thrown a mid-range on tour this year? How many times have you thrown a mid-range on tour this year? And the combined answer, and we were like 5 or 6 stops into the tour already, the combined answer is one of them had to use one for a scramble shot once. So let's just take the mold minimalization with a grain of salt when it comes to like completely blasting the bag, and not even mold minimalization, just overall disc minimalization. Okay, like I said, I gotta figure out, we're starting to see some pretty consistent numbers here leading in, trying to prep for this event that we're playing in today. We're seeing consistent numbers into the net, but it's about time. That actually felt really good. That I've got to practice and I've got to get on the course to start throwing the shots so that I can properly test what it's like hitting a line, throwing with power, knowing the repercussions of when a shot goes bad versus, okay, if it goes bad, it just rips into a corner of the net. Does it do this everywhere else? I've only, like, since I have been cognizant of the weather, I lived in Michigan for 3 years in middle school. But other than that, I've basically lived in the South my entire life. And so, like, the weather patterns of here are sort of what I know. And so I just wonder, let's take a stroke there. See, I'm like trying to grab, that's why we keep extra towels. I can have a towel tail and I have a towel cover. I just wonder if these are like the weather patterns everywhere else, that like we hit the summer and all of a sudden the humidity jacks up to like 98% every single day. So you like think about going outside and instantly you're sweating. And then you add in that you can't even check forecast apps because every single day has rain on them. Because there's just gonna be a summer storm. Probably very true for Florida, I would guess. But like, for you folks in Iowa, for you folks in Nebraska, is this happening to you too? Now, while it may be uncomfortable in the rain and I'm having to use towels left and right to make sure my discs feel nice and dry, one thing I can guarantee is gonna be dry is my feet, thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Vessie. Guys, if you've been watching disc golf content, you've been seeing Vessie pop up everywhere. And so you know these shoes are waterproof, you know these shoes are awesome. But I wanna tell you about something that I really appreciate about it, and that is, in all honesty, the price point. When I think about a disc golf shoe as someone who plays in tournaments, there's nothing like the feeling of going to play that first round of that Saturday flex start, that Saturday 2-round C tier. You're trying to warm up, you're walking through the grass trying to pick up your discs, and all of a sudden you look down, before you even get to the tee of your first hole for the first round, your feet are soaking wet, and you just think to yourself,
boy howdy, it's about to be a long day out here on the Frisbee golf course.
well, thanks to Vessie, I don't have to worry about that. I know that this shoe is going to be waterproof, and the waterproof feature is lasting, which is really great, but it's also incredibly comfortable. So often shoes that we're trying to make work in the disc golf world were not designed for disc golf in any form, stretch, or fashion, and they're these like rugged trail shoes that are meant for hiking and things like that. And while disc golf can be described as hiking with a purpose, I don't want my feet to have to endure that purpose. So instead of having to pay a crazy high price point for a shoe that wasn't really meant for the sport that I'm trying to play, as well as knowing that that shoe, because I'm using it in a way that it wasn't meant to be used, is gonna wear out and not even make it through a full disc golf season. Yeah, I once was wearing $200 shoes that I had to buy 2 pair of every season because I was blowing through them. That's a lot of money. And I know that if I go with Vessie, I'm going to be able to have a shoe that lasts an incredibly long amount of time. It's going to have all of the amazing features that I'm looking for in a quality disc golf shoe, and it's comfortable. That woven fabric, I mean, y'all, I be jamming into that brace, and the woven fabric doesn't feel like it's pushing back on my foot saying, I hate you, what are you doing? Get out of my face. So, if you have been on the fence about what shoe to take forward in the disc golf game, I have loved my Vessies, and like Guys, I love them so much. There are days that I'm even, like when I'm going out to play disc golf, I put them on, obviously. But I have had days where my wife looks down and we're just out shopping and she's like, excuse me, sir, are you wearing your disc golf shoes while we are at the Target? Why, yes, milady. I am indeed wearing my Vessies here at the place of commerce. So if you want to support what we're doing here on the channel, the best way you can do so is by supporting those who support me. And Vessie is those people. So if you've been looking for that shoe to upgrade to push you through the rest of the season, as well as into next year, I can guarantee you Vessies are what you're looking for. You can scan the QR code on the screen, or you can find them in the link down in the description for a little discount code. Thank you to Vessie for sponsoring the Robbie C channel, and hopefully we have many more amazing things to come. Just like you may have amazing things to come for your feet. Heck yeah is short, located down behind that tree. Yellow long is the upside down disc. Heck yeah short. So this will be a fun one because we're looking for something that's gonna go straight and fade. I think the A5 is gonna be perfect for this. This is where I like having the different disc options. I think that when you're trying to go down to options, like if I have a lot less discs, let's say I only am bringing a putting putter and a throwing putter and maybe an overstable hook and approach disc. Well, what if my throwing putter is more straight option? I'm gonna have to work and manipulate it on some angles, and I'm not sure if it may fade in time. Whereas being able to bounce around between, I have straight pig, I have the range, I have this, I have my overstable putt and approach disc in my ringer top GT, Zone GT. We have the option to really cater and pick a disc to a shot. Now we just have to not throw it into a tree. Perfect. Perfect. All right, next up, Connor Wizard. I'm gonna try to hit this a little more flat and get it out in that main gap. That is also perfect. Looks like we should have 2 birdies waiting for us down there. There we go. Did it, Clint. We actually aimed in the right direction and sent it, and then things were zipping down there. Now, one of the things that I talked about was how you kind of go in this ebbs and flows. So I kind of want to walk us through the roller coaster of what I think is probably the path where you end up either having a lot of discs or having a few discs. And at the start of it, obviously you want a few discs because you are learning the game. You're learning what your body can do. You're learning what's comfortable. Because of that, you want as few options as possible because those decisions often can lead you to the wrong ones. But really what it's going to show you is, hey, here's how I'm throwing the disc. And when I make these changes to my form, that 1 or 2 disc option is the constant. It's the variable that's not adjusting. And therefore you are able to really make some adjustments on the fly and figure out how to best start scoring in your disc golf game. Now, once you start seeing that and you start figuring out what your form's doing for you and how your throw's working, that's where we head to stage 2 of the roller coaster. Would it really be George Ward without the trains and the church bells ringing? Here we go. Bang. That's a birdie. Bang, rang. Bang, 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 bang. Now what is fun here is that I am putting with a wizard. Like I putt with wizards normally. And Kamen Chaman is misprinted on a wizard. So that works out. Stage 2, you start experimenting with some discs. We're starting to watch videos like Best Disc for Beginners, and this is where you're expanding outside of your base set, outside of your starter set, whether you built your own starter set out of a used bin, went on Amazon and bought the remix set, whatever it may be. This is where we are sort of looking to flesh out some options, and those options I would say are you want an understable, a neutral, and an overstable putter, mid, fairway. And then depending on your distance, you're gonna add probably a neutral and an understable distance driver, because if you don't have a ton of distance, that neutral is gonna fly a little more overstable, and that understable one's gonna fly a little more neutral. All right, 2 under, 2, 1 under through 3. Heck yeah, it's short. Ooh, we're going long. Okay, this will be a fun one because the trail, I think we're gonna have to put the trail on a nice heavy amount of hyzer in order to get it up and over and not get it to just hold straight. I think it's gonna be too difficult of a shot for me to throw it low, just a laser beam. So We're gonna go with the Sagara from our full bag, and we're gonna try to go Sagara on a nice heavy amount of hyzer. Curl, curl, heavy amount of hyzer, get it high, and see if we can't fade over to that gray basket in the corner. All right, we're over there. Let's go. We are on the dance floor. So this is where the trail, I think, is gonna have a little more stand up. So I think it's gonna give us the push that we're looking for. We just have to make sure that we get it on that hyzer, because if it stands up too flat, it's gonna ride into the back tree line. But that was the key. I knew the Sagara wasn't gonna stand all the way up. And once again, I have a trail in my back, so I could have gone trail here, but this is where I'm looking at the shot shaping opportunity, and I'm like, oh man, if this is the minimal options I have, sometimes you're just gonna find a hole. And sometimes those minimal options are going to be tailored, obviously, right? Like, you don't have to just pick them blind. You can sort of tailor them to your local courses and things like that. But a minimal bag, when it travels, can have a hard time when you find a hole like this, that you just have a hole that may not really fit the discs you have, even if you have the arm speed or the throwing capability to get there. I think that's probably the most overlooked part of the disc minimal bag. Once again, not mold minimal, disc minimal. There is a difference. Okay. We didn't hit the trail as good as we hit the Sagara, but they're both up and over there, which feels really good. It's been a minute since I've been able to hit that line like I wanted, much less hit it back to back. Okay, so we want to, you know, not be so locked in, because what if we're traveling and we end up with holes? Well, Gannon's saying this, and he's on tour, and he plays a different long course every single week. So I guess that logic doesn't work, Mr. YouTube man, and I hear you. So here's my thing, is that I think for lots of touring players, they make more micro adjustments to their bag throughout the year than we give credit for. We all look at that in the bag that they drop at the beginning of the year, towards the later part of the year, and we just think that, like, that word is gold and that they're gonna have to hold to that bag for the rest of the time. And it's just simply not true. They are going to have opportunities to make some adjustments. I mean, I think about when I was with Brody at Music City one year, and I got there on Monday when he got there, and we played practice rounds all week and watched him adjust. And he went from having one machete in the bag to 2 machetes in the bag. Why did he have 2 machetes? Well, because the shots were asking for more machete shots than we thought, and there was a world of, okay, what if we lose a machete during the round? Or this one's a little more overstable and a little more overtuned, so I can make an adjustment throughout. The pros are doing this on a constant basis of, okay, maybe I need less fairways and I need more distance drivers because this course is a little longer, or there's a lot of technical tee shots that I don't need this disc for, so I'm gonna go with the other option. Time for Connor to shine. I think based on how far left we are, there is this like sidewalk that runs here, and I think that we hit early with the trail and got a big flare and got pushed left, because I think we landed over there. But if you hit the grass, you stick, which is kind of what the Sagara did. But if you don't hit the grass, well, you know, people in League of Legends are always telling me to go touch grass. There you go, Shaco, that I counter jungled. Part of me wonders if I just didn't give the overstability of the premium the respect that it deserves there. I also was like back and forth in my head about doing a straddle there. And if I'm ever in my head between thoughts, or like between what I should do, that's a seed of doubt that needs to be squished immediately, or I need to back off of the putt and make sure that I'm making an adjustment. Make sure I'm making an adjustment. So we're up 3 strokes now. Let's go ahead and talk about one thing that's control of this situation that may be a drawback. So the hard control of this is that I've been playing with my bag obviously for a considerable amount of time, and as I look at these 3 discs, the Buzz I got from Brody, I haven't thrown it before throwing in this video. The Wizard, I've thrown Diamond Wizards before, but I haven't thrown this one, and I've thrown Trails, but I haven't thrown this one, right? So it's not the most fair comparison because I'm basing these throws off of a history that I have with the mold versus knowing on the disc in my bag, like being able to step up to the A5 here and know that, like, okay, if I put this on hyzer, it's never coming out of that hyzer. So I have to know that's going to happen, which netted me the birdie on hole 3. But if I'm being 100% honest, it was still a little more inside than I wanted. I wanted to be pulling a little more right so it would have gotten around that last tree, but cutting in front of it and having the speed that it did was helpful. So we mentioned on the roller coaster, right? Minimal discs helpful. Then you find your plateau, or you know what your game's doing, and so then you grab more options and you feel those out. Well, then there's gonna be a stagnant point where you wanna keep going forward, but in order to get the momentum, you're already up here, you're gonna make some form changes and things like that. So you're gonna dip again and go back into a world where we want less is more. If people have played with me over the last really over the last year and a half, as we've been trying to deep dive into this distance journey, and we're finally starting to see some benefits without searing pain all throughout my arm. I don't throw a lot of discs. Like, I carry a lot of discs, but you play around with me and I'm usually throwing one of like 5 discs, which means that I could minimalize. But part of that is, okay, I want to throw molds I trust, but I throw those molds I trust because I didn't know, and really sometimes still don't know, what my form is doing. It was a positive that on hole 1 we immediately were like, okay, that throw was bad, that throw was bad. Here's what we're doing. We're learning and we're dialing it in. That's something that's been so comfortable about my putt, is that I know my putt like the back of my hand so well, and therefore when something's off, I can make quick adjustments because I know that piece of my game, which is just something that I've really never had on backhand. And so I understand how backhand works, but knowing what my backhand was doing, I needed extra intervention to come in and tell me, hey, yeah, this is why this is an issue for you. It's been fantastic. So you want to go through these ebbs and flows of minimal disc, make a move in. You see what I'm saying here? Hopefully the thing is it's like this inverse scale. When I'm investing, when I'm putting energy into improving as a player, I want to make sure, I guess it's not even inverse, these move together. When I'm putting a lot of energy into sort of what I want as a player, I want the strong part to be, hey, minimal molds. I'm making maximum changes for my game, minimal changes for the molds, minimal changes for the discs. And then when I feel good about what my game's doing, I can say, hey, I'm not really adjusting how I throw the disc, therefore let me invest in having some options to see what this new form can unlock out of these molds. Okay, we've got left and we've got right. Left is heck yeah, right is the bottom. We're going right. That's good, because if we were going left, I would have been tempted to throw a forehand, and I just think for the competitive integrity of the video, I probably need to be throwing backhands, since I said that forehands are going to be the weak part. I think we're going to go with the cicada again. We didn't give the cicada a good showing. This is the ESP cicada, which I'm really excited about. I think that I actually have, I don't know if they're still available on the website, but we dropped ESP cicadas over at foundationdisc.com. If you wanted one, they have the mini R stamp on them. Super cool. Really looking forward to it. Here we go. Oh no, we didn't want to grip lock it, so we just let it slip out early again. Okay. I mean, that's really far. It's really great for the left pin location. It's going to be very difficult to get to the right pin location. I'm going to have to throw through a wall of trees. I think that's what I'm learning, is when I'm trying to throw flat right now with this, I'm afraid of grip lock and power. Therefore, I'm early releasing. Just got to commit through the shot. I mean, neither was very good. I don't think that I think it's cheating to say, let's just go to the left one because we're over there, because I think pink's got a better chance, but we'll take a look. Well, here's a fun one for you, ladies and gentlemen. Competitive integrity. This will be a fun challenge. We actually, behind the scenes look at everyone. I'll let him decide if he wants to remain nameless, but we have a new editor helping with our Thursday videos, which has been really fun. And I think you've been seeing some different flair happening in our videos throughout, which is fantastic. I love a little comedic presence. So we'll see how he wants to tackle this, because either he can just have a clip of someone chucking something out a window, or we can have a window, take competitive integrity and just throw it out the door. I think that both have about the same chance of making a birdie here, which is why I'm going with this one. And over there, this actually is like a wide open look over to make the par, and so is the other one's jump putting to make the par. So I thought this was a spicier look. Oof. Just short, ladies and gentlemen, just short. If we think about this in match play standards, bag minimal, disc minimal is, I can't putt with this because disc minimal, down by 2 with 2 to play after this. So if we make this, the door stays open. Door is open. Well, would you look at that? Blue ended up getting a stroke on him anyways. Bag minimal. Well, I guess I said blue because the Connor stamp is blue, and then the other discs are blue. Just a lot of blue. It's not in a straight position. Having to do a little investigative journalism here. Did they finally put it back into D? Do we have one on this side? Welcome to the long levels of research that I'm having to do, because I still don't see no baskets. There is only one basket in this location, and it's a long one. I think they technically call this a par 3. No shot. This is a par 4, ladies and gentlemen. The good news is we get to test that Anheuser release. Am I just staying too closed? That's definitely what's happening, but Team Disc Minimal takes the box. I think we have a tailwind coming behind us real fast. That's so nosy. That's fast. But that's gonna be a tough 3, or a tough 4. Let's go ozone. Easy turn. Not have to hit it so hard. Oh. Okay, we're significantly closer. The ozone cut roll, whoop whoop. The ozone will be an easy 4, tough 3. I think this will be a tough 4 depending on what outs we have. So at the end of the day, do I think Gannon Buhr is entirely wrong? No, I think that there is definitely time in disc golf where you need to be playing a disc minimal bag. And I think if you're ever looking to challenge yourself or see, okay, do I have the capability of throwing certain shots? Like here, where a forehand probably makes way more sense for me to just throw a big, huge forehand out and around and then have an easy look instead of trying to force that sort of turnover. Yeah, but I'm learning the weaknesses of what I can and can't do right now, and I think that that's important. So instead of having disc selection choices, I'm making my body figure it out. Here we go. We're gonna try to just blast one out here and see how easy we can make this. Okay, we did what we said. We blasted one out there. I'm gonna be honest, cinematographers, I'm not really sure how to capture this because this branch is very much in my way. The disc is right here. I'm basically just having to go high and crash in. We're gonna go straight pig here because I want the push more than I necessarily want the fade. And I'm trying to go up and in and let it crash. Make it a 4 at worst. That is exactly where I wanted it. I wanted it pushing that back wall and then hopefully fading in time. Let's see what we got. All right, blue got up in there. Blue is for certainly probably taking a 3. So we kind of gotta throw this in, or else it's over. We'd be 2 down with 1 to play, and we're not acing that last hole. I can promise you that. You know, I bet from y'all's vantage point, it was probably right the whole time. But from here, It seemed like it had a chance. I think the final word as we wrap up the video here is that anytime anyone puts out advice, understand that there are nuances to all of it. We are playing a very young sport, so there's always adjustments that can be made. There's always things that we need to be, there's always micro adjustments that we can make. And for some people, that disc minimal bag is going to be perfect for them. For some people, that disc minimal bag sounds super stressful and not as fun. And I think if you're having fun, then we're going to have a good time out there on the course anyways. So I think Gannon has some truth to it. Is Gannon wrong? No, not entirely. But let me know, do you find yourself on the disc minimal side of things, or is there that joy that you find in testing a bunch of discs and molds and things like that? Once again, I didn't want this video to be all about mold minimalization. Disc minimalization is really the focus here, and I'm really curious its place. I remember even caddying for Sully at Music City this year and him having a very disc minimal bag, and then Gannon released that video and I was like, oh, these boys be talking. But for Sully, he is at a point where he knows what to do with his zone on so many forehand approaches, and so it's, if he's throwing a forehand, it's a zone, a quake, a force, or a raptor. That's it. Like, very rarely is he forehanding something else, and why would he need to carry other things to forehand? So it works for him. What works for you? Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're going to leave you with the birdie.